goes above and beyond on every single occasion. He is not only a big help to his teacher, but a huge supporter of his peers and his classmates. He works very hard and is not afraid of making mistakes and learning from them. He's a wonderful leader in the Wendell Elementary School community. So very good. We're very proud of you for that. Cameron demonstrates leadership, work ethic, and courage on a daily basis. He is a leader in the classroom and models for others what it means to strive to be a scholar. Cameron is also a leader in our band program. Cameron has confidence and courage and is willing to take risks and seize opportunities. He has performed solos in our Wendell Middle School band and was willing to learn a new instrument as his contribution to our jazz band. Most recently, we had a Latin jazz group come to the school, and Cameron bravely got on stage with his instrument to perform some impromptu music as a guest member of the band. The true testament to Cameron was when all of his classmates cheered for him. They see the courage and hard work and dedication that makes Cameron who he is, and we all see the inspiration he is to those around him. I'm very proud of you for that, and I've seen you play, actually, so that's very good. All right, everyone will rise. The microphone. Go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. You can have a seat now. Thank you. Our invocation tonight from the Covenant Presbyterian Church for the Wendell Council of Churches, we're going to hear from Elaine Vaden. Yes, ma'am.
Let us pray. Loving God, thank you for the freedom that we enjoy to meet together as members of this community. We thank you for each person who represents this community, for the mayor and the commissioners and all the members of the council. And we ask that they will be graced with your wisdom, your mercy, your insight, and that your justice would be the goal for all that happens in this city. Thank you so much for the way that you are with us and help us in all that we do. And we ask this in the name of our loving God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll move to our public comment period. We have one person, Sean Coleman. Good evening. You can watch the little lights, and you have 3 minutes to speak, and when it turns red, your time's up.
All right.
Yes, sir. And
Madam
give me your
Mayor,
name and address.
Sean Coleman, 896 Stillwell in Encore over in Wendell Falls.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the Town Commission, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you tonight on an issue of concern to many households in Wendell Falls neighborhood. I'm here tonight in a private capacity. I do not represent the neighborhood or the HOA. I'm asking the council to readdress the viability of section 8.12, and by the way, the clerk has a handout for you, of the Unified Development Ordinance originally adopted in 2010 and amended in part in 2015. I'm sorry, I don't know what the amendment was in 2015. But the section goes to canopy large shade trees that says canopy trees must be locally adapted species with expected mature heights of 35 feet or greater and an expected mature crown of spread of 30 feet or greater. The Wendell Halls HOA is currently sending out courtesy reminders to households that are failing to meet the front yard tree requirement of the ordinance. The HOA says the town planning department has brought the deficiency of some houses to their attention, and they are passing on the information with a threat of a fine so the HOA does not absorb the cost. Being new to Wendell, I'm not totally aware of the housing development history of the town, but I would suggest that lot sizes have gotten smaller since this ordinance was adopted in 2010. A representative sample of the average lots in Pepper Point subdivision in 2009 shows an average size of 11,000 square feet. Jumping to the Edgemont Landing in 2014, majority of the houses between 8,000 and 7,000. Wendell Falls, the average size of the lot is a little over 5,000 square feet, and most setbacks, according to the PUD, are between 8 and 10 feet from the sidewalk. Anderson Farms, the new subdivision, lots are substantially generally less than 7,000 square feet. Why does that matter? Large trees have large root systems and over time potentially interfere with utilities and sidewalks. On my street, all my neighbors' front yards are less than 10 feet from their front porch. A 30-foot canopy on the tree would hit their house. Finally, in Wendell Farms, the grass choice of the developers is Bermuda, which requires direct sunlight to thrive. Huge canopies will prevent that and therefore impact curb appeal. So my request to the council and the commission tonight is, as the lot sizes decrease, the tree requirements should potentially also decrease. So the request is to direct a review of the ordinance in question and to stop enforcement if possible until the council has an opportunity to determine if an amendment is in order.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Perfect timing. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move into section 4, recognitions, reports, and presentations. Item 4A is the recognition of Wendell Elementary School Stephanie Johnson. Ms. Johnson, if you can come up to the podium. Stephanie Johnson is a special education teacher at Wendell Elementary School. She works with students who need emotional and behavioral support. She lives in Wake Forest with her husband and son and her grandmother. It's nice, multi-generational, living together like that. And her daughter, who is also an educator, lives in Washington, D.C. Stephanie received her bachelor's degree in elementary education and special education K-12 from William Peace University. This is her 11th year at Wendell Elementary, with 10 of those in special education. She loves working with all students and all grade levels with a goal to provide students with support and strategies to help them regulate their emotions and behaviors so they are successful in all aspects of their lives. We wanted to have you here tonight and recognize you and just thank you for everything you do for our kids at Wendell Elementary School. So thank you. You can say something if you'd like to.
I have a really good team that work with me, so there's 5 of us. We try to support not just our kids, but through the whole school, and so some days are crazy, but for the most part, they eventually make progress, and it's nice to see when they're able to go out by themselves without you to support them, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And now we're going to recognize Wendell Middle School teacher Alexis Cox. Miss Alexis Cox is a talented special education teacher who is able to build strong relationships with both her students and our staff. Ms. Cox always puts the needs of her students first and models for others what it's meant to be, to truly be kind to students and put their needs at the forefront of her work as an educator. She builds relationships with her students through her calm and caring demeanor, which ensures that her students always want to work hard and never want to disappoint her. Ms. Cox is always looking to see what she can do next to grow in her profession, and she is intentionally engaging in professional development so she can be a resource to other teachers in the building. Ms. Cox has been helping many teachers with Canvas, and she can always be found supporting our drama program. We look forward to seeing Ms. Cox continue her growth, but we also look forward to seeing how much our staff and students grow from her. We wanted to invite you here tonight and thank you. for everything that you do for kids in Wendell and at Wendell Middle School. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have the floor if you'd like to say something.
And so I would just like to thank the Wendell community for pouring into our school as much as they do. And also I would like to thank my leadership, my administration for always supporting me, for always being there for any of my needs, and just creating an environment at our school that embraces culture and that brings us all together and makes sure that our teachers are supported and our students are supported as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
and thank
you.
you, my administration.
It always speaks well for our schools when they come. There always are team members and staff and family and people that come and support them, and it's always very exciting to have them here, so thank y'all for that. All right, our next is item 4B, a proclamation honoring the life of Richard Sykes. We have recently lost a lifetime resident and I believe a local celebrity with the passing of Richard Sykes in Wendell. When I heard, I started the wheels in motion for this proclamation honoring him and recognizing him for his life. I certainly believe that he was very deserving of that recognition. And before I could even send my email, I began receiving multiple calls, texts, other emails. The people knocked on my door, encouraging me that we have to do something for Richard. And I assured them that we were and that it was underway. And it's a testament to him and his friendship and how much he's loved in this community that I had so many of those requests. So he was certainly well loved and made an impression on so many in Wendell and beyond. And he will be missed, especially on Cypress Street where we miss our friend. I'm going to read you the proclamation. So, this is a proclamation honoring the life of Richard Sykes. Whereas Edward Richard Coach Sykes III was a Wendell native born on September 1st, 1944, and whereas Richard Sykes stayed close to home for college by attending North Carolina State University, where he was a member of the golf team before graduating in 1968, and whereas Richard Sykes was a golf pro at the Wendell Country Club before taking the job at North Carolina State University as North Carolina State University's head golf coach, where his tenure lasted 46 years before he retired in 2017. And whereas Richard Sykes made the town of Wendell proud by being honored as the ACC Coach of the Year 5 times and by being inducted into the Golf Coaches Hall of Fame in 2001 by the Golf Coaches Association of America. And whereas Richard Sykes and family recently helped celebrate the opening of the Wendell Museum at their premiere night, where he was honored as one of Wendell's notable natives. Whereas Richard Sykes was known for both his wit and his infectious personality, who had a special ability to make anyone smile. And whereas Richard loved his family, and at his induction to the Golf Coaches Hall of Fame said the only thing better than being called coach was being called Sugar by his wife Pam and Daddy by his children. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Town Board of Commissioners of the Town of Wendell do hereby recognize and honor Edward Richard Coach Sykes III for his dedication and achievements which proudly represent the Town of Wendell and extend to his family our sincere sympathy upon his passing. Duly proclaimed this the 24th day of October 2022, and it's signed by me. Richard has a fan club here tonight, family, and I believe we're missing Paige, but we hope Paige feels better soon. All right, item 4C is a proclamation recognizing October 2022 as National Community Planning Month. This is is a Town of Wendell proclamation recognizing National Community Planning Month. Whereas planners work to improve the well-being of all people by working towards safer, more resilient, and more equitable and more prosperous communities. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. And whereas the American Planning Association encourages communities across the country to recognize October as National Community Planning Month. Whereas the American Planning Association endorses National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight how planning is essential to recovery and how planners can lead communities to equitable, resilient, and long-lasting recovery. And whereas the Town of Wendell actively supports well-planned infrastructure projects, strong communities, expanded economic opportunity, and equitable development for a positive quality of life. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the Honorable Mayor and Town Board of the Town of Wendell that the month of October 2022 be recognized as National Community Planning Month, duly proclaimed this the 24th day of October 2022. And let's get it signed. Did Megan want to do that now? Okay.
Just like to say thank you. I've got a great staff, and the support you all give us to update comp plan, updating UDO is much appreciated, so thank you.
Thank y'all, and thank y'all for everything that you do. You're welcome. The next item is item 4D of another proclamation. We're celebrating a lot tonight. Proclaiming October 9th through 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week in the Town of Wendell. So we have a proclamation for October 9th through 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week in the Town of Wendell. Whereas the Town of Wendell is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our town, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the location where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires caused 2,580 civilian deaths in the United States in 2020, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 356,500 home fires. And whereas smoke alarms make sense well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire, which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas the Town of Wendell residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sound of smoke alarms and knows how to respond. Whereas the Town of Wendell first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas in 2022, Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively serves to remind the Town of Wendell it is important to have a home fire escape plan. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the Honorable Mayor and Town Board of the Town of Wendell that October 9 through 15, 2002 be recognized as Fire Prevention Week in the Town of Wendell. Duly proclaimed this the 24th day of October 2022. Is that for you? All right, item 4E is the fiscal year 2023 Strategic Initiative and Financial Snapshot Report. I'm going to hear from Mr. Collins.
Information was provided for the board's review. For those who haven't seen it in a long time, we're glad to get the monthly reports going again. and look forward to continuing those on a regular basis. As I've reported out to y'all in the past, COVID kind of changes strategic initiatives and operating reports around a little bit, but finance staff is stabilized and able to restart their reporting. So if you have any questions, I'm here for you. I know y'all heard me speak ad nauseum recently on strategic initiatives, but I'm here if you'd like to ask any questions.
Are there any questions from the board?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Item 5 is a public hearing. Request to amend a previously rezoned parcel located at 1320 Wendell Falls Parkway, and this request seeks to amend 2 zoning conditions in Tract B. Mr. Coates.
Yep. Give me just one moment. So the public hearing before you tonight is to amend zoning conditions related to a rezoning that occurred conditional district last year. The neighborhood center conditional district related to the property at 1320 Wendell Falls Parkway. This request seeks to amend 2 zoning conditions on Tract B. We'll go over the location of Tract B. This rezoning was approved in November 2021. At this time, Tract A, which is the townhome portion, has construction drawings in review with TRC. Tract B at this time does not have any plans in for review. This request came from the owner of the property, Mr. Ellis. There was some questions on the height of potential buildings in that mixed-use Tract B, and so we'll go over their request and then field any questions that you have. So the applicant's seeking to amend zoning condition number 3 to allow buildings greater than 2 stories. The condition as worded was not clear. Our intention as staff was never to limit a mixed-use zoning to 2 stories, but as they have looked deeper into the property and worked with potential developments for it, there was a need from their perspective to get clarification on height of buildings. So they're requesting that the language be at least 4 mixed-use buildings with ground level commercial or office. The applicants added that the first floor of any buildings on site may contain ground level structured parking, and that floors 2 through 4 may contain residential, office, amenity, or commercial uses. Just to clarify, so that the condition, it clarifies that buildings can go over 2 heights. Previously it said 2 stories. The wording was not very clear. So the applicant's also seeking to eliminate zoning condition number 4 that requires 1 single slab commercial building. This allows the applicant some more flexibility on the site. Removing the condition does not prohibit the construction of a single slab building. In the subdivision plan is attachment B in your packet. Current property, neighborhood center conditional district. You can see from the site plan, parcel B is to the east, which is more focused towards the center of the intersection of Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road. Tract A to the west borders the Wiley Oaks neighborhood, and that townhome portion, the construction drawings are under review, and it's townhomes just like the conditions stated. There's the site plan for Tract B. It was conceptual at the time of the rezoning condition. It's still conceptual, as we do not have any plans in review at this time. So the applicant's requesting to keep neighborhood center conditional district, but is just asking to change those 2 conditions. You can see the previous one said at least 4 mixed-use buildings featuring 2-story facades with ground level commercial. Second floors, when usable, may contain residential units or office space. A minimum of 1/3 of the ground floor of each building shall contain an occupiable upper floor. So as I mentioned, our intent was never to limit to 2 stories, but you can see when reading that condition where it could be construed that it doesn't say higher than 2. So their proposal, you can see their mixed-use residential buildings shall be between 2 and 4 stories in height. At least 4 of the buildings on the site shall be mixed use with ground level commercial and or office. The first floor of any building on site may contain ground level structured parking. Second through fourth floors may contain residential, office, amenity, or commercial. And then to eliminate condition 4 for track B, which is the single slab commercial building. You can see the conditions. The other conditions would stay the same. As far as the comp plan, this was approved before the comp plan. However, it is consistent with the Activity Center 2 designation for that property. The typical uses in those activity centers can be grocery, pharmacy, retail, restaurant, gym, small to medium-sized office, medical, attached single-family, multifamily, whether it be apartments or condos. And then the street network is very much grid-like, with open space related to walking and bike paths, courtyards, gathering spaces, things like that. So the proposal does align with the Activity Center 2 designation within the comp plan. It encourages the mixing of uses. The proposed project is comprised both of townhomes and a commercial portion. And also the road network and the proposed uses in that mixed use align with the comp plan. Just from a staff perspective, mixed use activity centers need flexibility to blend that mix of commercial, office, and residential. Amending zoning condition 3 to clearly allow up to 4 stories is beneficial to help create that vision that's in the Blueprint Wendell 2030 plan. The intent of the current zoning was not to limit the buildings on site to 2 stories. However, the zoning condition is not clear on that. Elimination of zoning condition 4 also helps in the creation of a mixed use. The requirement for a single slab construction could be indicative of a single tenant building. And that's not the intent of a mixed use either. We want to make sure there's multiple tenants and uses on that site. So from our perspective, the zoning map amendment, the condition amendment, is consistent with Blueprint 2030. 1, the economy market economic goal 1, support development of key nodes, large and small, where commercial uses can offer the most benefit. And then 2, neighborhoods and housing, diversify housing to appeal to different groups, ages, income, lifestyle preference, and family situations. Staff recommends approval of the amended zoning conditions. Planning Board at their August 15th meeting, the Planning Board voted 7-0 on the motion to recommend approval with the removal of condition 4, which was not part of the original application. And I can field any questions you have. The developer, Mr. Stephen Ellis, is here as well.
Okay. Let's open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Would the applicant like to be heard?
And I might be able to make a comment that maybe could inform some of what you're going to say, and I might have a specific question after. That's okay. I just would appreciate if you could talk a little bit more about some of the details of what you're trying to address through the change. Brian has kind of talked in some broad generalizations, and helped me, I think, understand a little bit of what's going on, but just help me figure out what we're doing here.
Yeah, so we're talking to planning staff, and we've been talking with partners to come along and get this project moving. And the whole idea of the Wendell Falls Parkway intersection with Eagle Rock Road is to create that almost satellite downtown district. And this will allow us more flexibility to bring on partners that have that vision of kind of that mixed use satellite center. So you can have apartments up above, you can have people walking around. The structured parking element adds an idea that maybe we can hide some of the parking. But just to create that kind of secondary main street, have the residential up above, office down below, and to keep out, like you said, single slab, it can work, and we can find a user for that, but if we're trying to create that downtown feel, the mixed use is really kind of the way we want to go.
Go ahead.
Just to follow up. I think you've spoken to my biggest concern about the changes I've seen, so help me get comfortable with this a little bit more. The structured parking on the first floor, what I don't want is for us to build something in an attempt to have sort of that good, number one, I mean, not a secret to anybody, I like mixed use, I like the concept. There's really not building height that would bother me for this sort of thing. But how do we, give me some reassurance that we're not going to end up with a first floor or a whole block of parking deck that's like not anything usable, or that doesn't contribute toward that downtown feel? Because if there's not, you know, a commercial or some sort of first floor street side amenity, then you got dead space.
We wouldn't want to put parking right down the main corridor or where we have people walking around. It's just something, when you have a site that's like this and you have that mixed use where you have residential and commercial, there is a large amount of parking that's needed. And if we could, you know, potentially hide some of that in some of the other buildings, that's, you know, obviously it would create more street appeal and allow people to, I think North Hills has a good idea of that, where they have some of the parking that's hidden. I think it's by the Harris Teeter, where they have the Harris Teeter out front and then they have the structured parking in back. That's a good example.
Like a quick reading of eliminate number 4. Yeah, I understand what Brian was explaining, but can you show me where else? Like, my fear is that commercial doesn't come. And when I read it the last time, that was the, hey, there's going to be commercial. Here's where, you know, you will build one commercial site. Can you reassure me on that?
Yes, so I can answer that. In the zoning condition, there is, for track B, 10% of the parcel can be residential buildings only. So it forces that there needs to be a mixture of uses.
Thank you.
And then when it comes to design of mixed-use buildings, the UDO does have design requirements. And so a whole first floor with parking and concrete being exposed would not meet our design guidelines for a mixed-use building within the UDO.
And this maybe actually is a Brian question then, sort of to follow off of that. Not exactly remembering the sketches and also knowing that the sketches we looked at before is really just conceptual. What is a building? And what I mean by that is, like, if I think of a crossroads idea of a downtown, so like 4 blocks, is that one building per block? Is that the way buildings are built in historic downtown where the individual building is 20 or 30 feet wide? You know, what is a building when we talk about there being 4 buildings?
So for us, they would need to be 4 non-connected buildings, and they could be, you know, the full block could be multiple commercial or office on the first floor. You know, a couple hundred apartments above might be one building. It just depends on what site plan comes in. At this time, there's no site plans in review, but at least 4 of the buildings need to be mixed use, and then 10% of the site can be used for residential buildings only. And so when we look at 10% of 17, 18 acres, there is not, like, 10% doesn't give you a lot for residential only. So it forces that the buildings are going to have to be some form of mixed use.
We can go back to the previous site plan. What a building.
So the sketch that we had,
Yeah.
you can
So-
see, that was just conceptual.
Yeah, this is just conceptual, but let's just take this kind of Main Street building right here. This whole thing would be considered one building.
Okay.
I mean, you can have individual restaurants or shops or whatever inside of that, but the whole structure itself is considered one building. Same with right across the street, that's one building, that's one building. So it's not like it's the individual 10 feet or whatever it is.
And just, I think it's good to make sure we're all on the same page about where we're headed. I think what you're describing is very much what I want and what I like, and I know sometimes it's the details of, I won't pretend to be the person that needs to be in charge of every single detail of the legislative draft and portion of what's actually in there. So, I mean, I think what I would like is for y'all to have the downtown mixed-use concept. I don't care if it's 5 or 6 stories. I know that's not what this would technically permit, so that's fine. But the story part doesn't bother, the height part doesn't bother me. And I guess, is there something on this what we're looking at right now that would have been the single slab? That's the one other thing, I just don't know that I totally understand
Yeah,
what
that would've-
term of art means
Let's,
compared to what the
where's
spots
my
you were
mouse?
just
I think it was right
pointing
over
out.
here. Yeah, it would have been this little corner building off to the side here. I'm circling with my mouse.
Okay. To me, that a standalone building is not an objective I have, so I don't have a concern with eliminating that either. That core and that crossroads is the part that's the most important to me, and the thing I liked about this last year. So
Yep.
I don't hear anything that makes me think you're not doing that.
Right.
Or moving away from that concept.
Yeah, I just, a couple things on that. So I guess when you mentioned North Hills, from where Harris Teeter is to the end of the block, parking, restaurants, offices, even apartments, that would be considered one building is what you're saying, because
It should, I mean, yeah, just visually.
we're not holding you to it, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah,
when we
so
talked
that-
about it individually, I envisioned to start with the change, that it's parking and then up from there.
Yep.
That's not what we want. I think you're gathering that, and you're telling us that's not what you want either. Just commercial building 101, single slab, would that be just like a box building that would house a bank call center or a,
A
you
single
know what
slab.
I mean, like a technology place? It's just a,
Single slab can mean a lot of things. It can mean a bank. It could mean like an Applebee's. I mean, anything that's kind of your block, single slab, one set of utilities going in and out.
okay, so single slab means limiting
Yes.
what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Thank you.
Any other questions
Quick-
from the board?
So when you're
Yeah.
figuring all this, how much parking are we talking about to cover people going and visiting? Are you basing it on like the tenants, like how many per?
So it depends on the uses that get proposed. So there's different ratios of parking for retail or restaurants versus office. And then if there are residential units above, depending on if they're a one-bedroom, two-bedroom apartment, they vary of parking spaces based on their needs. So whenever a plan does come in, we have to account for how that space is being proposed and see if it meets the UDO. And the ratio of parking can change depending on the proposed uses. So for example, restaurants, it's one space per 4 seats inside. So it depends on the size of the restaurant, how many spaces are needed. Apartments vary on if they're a 2 or a 3 bedroom versus a 1 bedroom. And then there's any retailer, commercial, are going to want guest parking for their customers. And so it can vary, but there's ratios in the UDO for potential mix.
I want to make sure they're covered, I'm always interested in parking, so we can bring our family, so.
Yeah, any plans that come in for the Track B have to meet the zoning conditions and then get reviewed by TRC. So, and then a developer could always ask for a condition change and come back to you too if there's a need in the future. And just to keep in mind, one thing, there are zoning conditions in Tract A and B related to sidewalks, the width of sidewalks, things that can slow traffic down, pedestrian calming are all worked in those zoning conditions as well.
Anything else from the board right now? All right, are there any citizens who would like to speak? All right, I don't see any. And no other questions from the board? All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor,
Sir,
motion to amend the previously rezoned parcel at 1320 Wendell Falls Parkway from Neighborhood Center Conditional District to Neighborhood Center CD, and to amend the 2 zoning conditions on Track B.
can you add on that to adopt the attached ordinance? I believe there's an ordinance attached.
And to adopt the attached ordinance.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion to amend the previously zoned parcel at 1312 Wendell Falls Parkway and adopt the attached ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed. All right, thank y'all. Moving into our administrative items, item 6A is the appointment of a partial term in-town planning board vacancy. We're going to have our Mary Beth Tu, our new town clerk, help us.
Good evening. So tonight we do need to appoint a new member to the planning board. Due to the resignation of Ryan Zacany, there is a partial vacancy with the term ending June 30th, 2024. At the August 22nd town board meeting, the board advised the clerk's office to reach out to the 5 previous applicants from the June 2022 planning board application period, and also advertise a vacancy over a period of 30 days. There are 4 citizens that submitted applications. There are 2 previous applicants and 2 new submissions. The applicants were advised of tonight's meeting and encouraged to attend if they could and introduce themselves to the board. And so the recruitment process is done by written ballot. So I'm going to pass out the ballots, and you can write your name and who you vote for, and we will tally them up.
Write your name.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Pam, you're doing these. Yeah, if you got one.
What's the rule on writing, signing? I know we've talked about that a little bit.
Write your name.
Oh, she can read it.
Or you can be an overachiever and do both.
All right, Pam.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and by a vote of 4-1, the new planning board member will be James Harold Broadwell II, and I will let all of the applicants know of the results from tonight.
Great, thank you. And thank you to everyone who submitted an application. Our regular citizen board recruitment will begin late spring-ish next year, so keep an eye on that, and please try again. Appreciate your willing to serve. Item 6B is a fiscal year 2023 fee schedule ordinance amendment to include vendor fees. Stephanie Smith.
Good evening. I'm before you tonight to request the board adopt an amendment to the fee schedule ordinance to bring our vendor fee into compliance with the budget. We have identified a need to add a vendor fee that has been charged for participants of the Wendell Wonderland event in prior years. The proposed fee schedule amendment adds a vendor fee of $25 to participate and an electrical connection fee of $25 to the special events section of the fee schedule. This vendor fee will also apply to vendors participating in the 2023 Wendell Market. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
I've looked on the schedule is in the packet, and I don't know if it's not underlined or if I'm overlooking it. Can you tell me what page the new fee is on?
It's under the special event section about halfway through the packet. That's where it would go. We attached
in there already, or?
No.
Okay, so we don't
It'll get
have
added once it is, if it were to be adopted tonight.
That's why I didn't see it.
Any other questions from the board?
Can you just speak a little bit to the extension? I know it says it used to be Wendell Wonderland, and it would also be Wendell Market going forward.
It would be for both, correct. So we have charged a $25 participation fee and $25 electrical connection fee to Wendell Wonderland in the past. To continue doing that, we would need to add it to our fee schedule. We did not charge a vendor fee to the Wendell Market this year, as it was a newly formed market in terms of scheduling. We would be applying this fee to participants in future Wendell Market to recoup some of the costs associated with that market.
Have you got any feedback from the vendors from this year on adding a fee?
Not specifically. The fee is in alignment with other markets in the area that charge a fee. Other markets actually charge a higher fee, but this is kind of standard across the board. Any vendor that would participate in special events would be charged that fee.
Quick question for the vendor fee. What if it's a nonprofit, like church groups doing something? Are we still charging church groups in town?
So for the Wendell Wonderland and Wendell Market events, these are craft vendors, so they're all for-profit. We would take any nonprofit organization under consideration should the need arise, but that's not currently the vendors that would apply to this vendor fee.
Just curious if that would be in there so they could, if they're already a church in town, they don't have to pay it. You know.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I move we adopt the updated fee schedule ordinance amendment.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the updated fee schedule ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay. All right, item 6C is the fiscal year 2023 budget ordinance amendment number 1. Mr. Collins.
I'm obviously not your finance officer, Garrett Johnson, in the agenda. I'm your budget officer, your town manager, Mark Collins. Pinch hitting for Garrett tonight. As we transition to Garrett Johnson as finance officer, Garrett and I sat down and talked about comparative practices in other jurisdictions and best practices. One of them is not stockpiling all the budget amendments up to one end of year, but to evaluate it quarterly and bring the changes so that what we're reporting out is officially updated in our budget ordinance as we go. And then at the end, we'll do the final correction one. But so what's in your agenda tonight shouldn't be any big surprises from the budget amendment, but I'll walk through those briefly with you. The first is dealing with park trail maintenance. Let me see there had been feedback from the board and the public following the treat trail last year regarding routes. Staff started evaluating the improvements needed. It was not inserted in the budget. With the additional funds put into the sidewalk program, we reported out that a small portion of that was going to be transferred over to deal with the accessibility and walkability on those park trails. When we initially reported out on the sidewalk program, that project has been completed. We're hoping that the number of route trips and things of our young goblins and ghouls this Friday night will reflect a lot of hard work by Public Works and Parks and Rec there. But this is the official shifting of funds over for that project. The second deals with professional services for street resurfacing. This one is a review with Public Works Director Brian Coates and I talking through, now that we have a streets program, when's the appropriate time to do the engineering work prior to the next year's program? And it's actually in the prior fiscal year, not waiting until July to start it. And so this transfers some funds into that project this year to go ahead and do the engineering work for next year's streets program. So what that means is we'll have the bid documents and everything ready to go in May after the budget's adopted and release that, and we'll be able to implement next year's street program in July rather than waiting till around this time of year if we wait and do the engineering work. So we're more timely with the market and when the companies are available to do the work. It's an interesting logistics for equipment and vehicles right now. One thing that, again, Public Works and I have been talking through is do we have the appropriate equipment to do the work when work comes up? Hopefully we will not have snow, but I can't promise that. Right now, our snow plows are pickup trucks with plows attached. And if you recall, we're shifting to our lease vehicle program, and so there's more concern about undue wear and tear of attaching plows and then hitting objects, plowing streets, and not getting our full resale value out of our lease. So we want to make sure that program comes out the way we need it. What other municipalities use for snow plows aren't small pickups. That's usually for smaller greenways and parking lot kind of plows. They use dump trucks. Typically, there's several dump trucks in a fleet, and all of them have plow attachments. We have one right now that's a partial size dump truck, a small dump, and we're looking at buying a full dump, and that would start moving our fleet to where we need to be. It's not 100% where we need to be, but transitioning that. And so Brian was able to source something right now at a good price, and so if we wait and put it in next fiscal year, I'm not confident that logistically that we'll have it in time in the next couple of years. So kind of making hay when the sun is shining, I think the word is on that one. I will say that we had anticipated buying a new fleet mechanics tool set, which is a fairly large dollar item. Our fleet mechanic has his own tools, and so we've incorporated much like a reimbursement for a vehicle use, a reimbursement for a fleet mechanics tool set use, and that allows us to not have that expense. Other municipalities just provide a small stipend for their fleet mechanic to bring their own tools, and they're not mixing and messing stuff up. They're comfortable with what they have. It's a full set and usable. So we'll just be transferring funds within Public Works divisions to get that done. There's the new dump truck. When we get to it, I'm happy to take any questions on that. I think I explained that we don't want to get into a long line of vehicle order. And then the future police department land purchase that we closed out, that was in last year's budget, and so this just formally appropriates the funds in this year's budget. Since it wasn't expended last year, it rolled back into fund reserve. It needs to be reappropriated in the fiscal year budget, so that's cleaning that up. Computer replacement program. This is looking at getting more computers than were originally in the budget. We've gone through our 3-year replacement cycle. What we're facing with is when a computer goes down, we do not have parts and equipment on the shelf for use. And given the logistics and supply chain around computer chips right now, it can take a significant period of time to get computers on our shelf, and if people are unable to function and work, that can create issues. And so I authorized staff to go ahead while we were ordering this year's supply to overstock a little bit so we can avoid that supply chain issue with technology. We've obviously found during COVID that allows us to continue operations and flexibility, and so that amount's added to this amendment. With the shifting of a little bit of staff from Public Works to planning, in lieu of the project and design manager position, there's some operational expenses that needed to go with that, and so one of the amendment items deals with making sure that appropriate funds are in place for planning for that transfer of staff. At this point, being a end of first quarter amendment, our main revenue sources obviously are our property taxes. Those don't come in really between now and January, February. Our second biggest is sales tax revenue. It's exceeding trends right now. So we're anticipating a lot of these amendments to be covered by revenues outperforming and expenditures underperforming budget. And so we anticipate not having to use a lot of fund balance, if any. But right now, from a budget amendment standpoint, that's where a good portion of that is moving from. And if the board has any questions regarding the amendment, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Are there any questions from the board? Yes.
Yeah, just first, Mark, thank you for the quarterly approach. Really appreciate it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Can you help me just understand sort of process-wise? Are these things that have already happened that we're incorporating into our budget? Are these things that you're asking to have happen in the future? And just sort of how does that work from a workflow perspective?
Normally in the past, staff would just report out the change, like I reported out the sidewalk money moving in. And if I didn't hear any heartburn from the board, we'd proceed with that plan. But it actually isn't cleaned up till the end of the year budget amendment. Well, that's a lot of time, and managers and boards sleep a lot in between now and then. So we're trying to do it more timely. The only one where the expenditure has gone out the door, to my knowledge, is the computers, and that was kind of at the time of purchase opportunity based on how long staff was saying. Based on y'all stressing the need for technology and keeping people up there, I felt comfortable with that smaller number to go ahead with it, hopefully.
Thank you. That's helpful. I guess I have two requests maybe going forward, sort of as we continue working ourselves into this much improved, better approach that I appreciate. The first would be maybe a little bit of a formalization of that polling of the board on, with maybe in a way that's formatted in a consistent way that we sort of recognize it as not just an update on a cool project, but this is actually something that, maybe is a little bit different than what we had talked about or had in mind when we were doing the budget development earlier in the year or the previous year. And then the second would be on these amendments, having, like on the list that you just ran through, specific dollar amounts tied to each of those, because I know that I have the amendment and I can guess about how some of those line up with the actual items that are listed out, but actually kind of a item by item dollar amount associated,
sure,
so that I can ultimately
in the report,
then reconcile that with the amendment language itself.
No problem. I'll provide that feedback.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
We should expect to see another one of these next quarter.
Hope we don't have to do them too often.
Quarterly as needed.
Quarterly as needed. Hopefully not, but possibly. Is that dodging your answer enough?
No, so I mean,
Fair.
like there's, and I'm supportive of this, but there's new opportunities and new opportunities come up. I think it's wise of a manager to get the new opportunities in front of the board right before that new town hall opens up, because I have a feeling that new town hall is going to create one of these. And I know that there's some stuff that we've talked about in recent times that may facilitate the need for another budget amendment. So I guess that was my thing.
So an example of something that may create a need for a new budget amendment is receiving an appropriation for a project or a grant, an unanticipated grant. So you tend not to budget those revenues because you don't have a certainty to it, but when you receive them, you still have to recognize that. So if we collect an appropriation or a grant. I know the police department's working on a couple around equipment right now, and I know that the House has voted on an appropriation bill, and so we're waiting for that to work through. So there are some things that we hope would cause a budget amendment, and whether it be the second or the third, we'll see.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I move we adopt the budget amendment.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the budget amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 6D is the authorization to enter into website redesign contract with the town of Wendell and revise. Ms. Howard.
Good evening. The Town of Wendell staff received released a request for proposals for a website redesign back in July of this year with a submission deadline set for August 1st. After the deadline, the IT department, administration, and finance staff all reviewed a total of 28 submissions based on multiple criteria, including the successful public sector informational program experience or equivalent, including input from clients, competency of firm or individual, including their reputation and integrity, professional background and success of key personnel assigned to this project, the ability to meet deadlines and implement the program in a reasonable time frame, demonstration of their ability to meet the desired scope of services. As a result, staff is recommending the following two companies. Our first up would be Revise at $18,900 for the first year, $3,900 annually each year thereafter, with a guaranteed free redesign on the fourth year. Our second choice would be Granicus, which is $21,400 for the first year, $10,710 for year two, $11,245.50 for year three, $11,807.77 for year four, and $12,398.16 for year five. The redesign process is anticipated to take around 8 months. Staff plans to bring regular status updates on the redesign to the board for awareness through the manager's message. And staff is asking that the board authorize the town manager to sign and execute the contract with Revise. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
I do have a quick, do we have other examples that Revise municipalities that they do
Yeah.
websites for?
Yeah, they included a list of around 10 different websites that they've done with their proposal. An example would be New Bern, North Carolina. They designed their website. St. Petersburg, Florida is another one. Those are two that we kind of really liked and had a more modern feel to it. Happy to pull it up if you want me to.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from the board?
Mayor, I move we authorize the town manager to sign and execute the contract with the Revise.
All right, we have a motion to authorize the town manager to sign and execute the contract with Revise. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Item 6E is the authorization to enter into task order 19 with Withers Ravenel under master agreement on-call professional services for the engineering and design of the Town of Wendell Athletic Fields project. Ms. Smith.
Good evening once again. Withers Ravenel will prepare a master plan for the development of athletic fields for a 25-acre portion of a 115-acre property adjoining Wendell Park. Property is currently owned by Wake County and accessed from Industrial Drive. The program for development includes several athletic fields and related recreation and support elements. The identified program includes 1 football field, 1 multi-use field, 2 soccer lacrosse fields, shelters, restrooms, parking, and a greenway trail connection. The master plan will illustrate program elements and related improvements in 2 dimensions, as well as a general approach to grading, drainage, and landscape character. This plan will accompany an application for a tourism grant and/or other funding opportunities in the future. The need for athletic fields is identified in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for recreation use of residents, as well as to assist in regional sports events to promote tourism and economic development. The scope of work in the task service agreement that was provided in your packet is anticipated to take approximately 3 weeks to complete this fall for a cost of $11,000. Funding will be assigned from the Parks and Open Space Acquisition Capital Improvement Project to fund the design work. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just real quick. I know that that property is currently accessed by Industrial Drive and not relevant for this particular action, but I hope that access from the existing park core will at least be considered as part of the ultimate design and plan in addition to that Industrial Drive access. Vehicle access.
Anything else?
Madam Mayor, we approve the task service agreement with Withers and Ravenel.
Have a motion to approve and authorize the town manager to sign the task service agreement with Withers and Ravenel. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6F is a decision to approve rankings and authorize the town manager to negotiate a contract for the request for qualifications number 2023-02 for design build services for the Wendell Park concession stand, restroom, and picnic shelter project.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening, Mr. Pulaski.
Staff issued a request for qualifications number 2023-02 for professional design build services for the Wendell Park concession stand, restroom, and picnic shelter project. The responses were due by 3:00 p.m. on September the 23rd. As of that time and date, we had received 5 responses to the RFQ. Staff reviewed those submissions and ranked the responses based on submittal requisitions in the RFQ document. After concluding that meeting, we ranked our design builders by number 1, Jackson Builders, number 2, Muter Construction, and number 3, Samet General Contractor. Upon approval, staff will negotiate design build services and return the agreed contract to the board for approval. Let's see, the approved budget amount for this project was $300,000 for the design build of the new concession stand, restroom, picnic shelter facility. The project provides the budget provides for the project to be designed and built in this current fiscal year.
Any questions for Mr. Pulaski?
Quick.
Yeah.
Where's Jacksonville? Are they local?
They're out of Goldsboro.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And they have a lot of experience dealing with municipalities. They did a lot of work at Knightdale Station. I do believe they did the Public Works facility in Knightdale as well. So they have a lot of experience with municipalities.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff, were there quotes associated with?
This was just a request for qualifications.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Qualifications, okay. Not B. There we go.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the rankings and authorize the town manager to negotiate a contract for the RFQ.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the rankings and authorize the manager to negotiate a contract. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Item 6G is a task service agreement with Withers and Ravenel to survey town-owned property for annexation. Ms. Smith.
Withers Ravenel has submitted a task service agreement to provide professional land surveying services to perform a boundary survey and provide written meets and bounds descriptions for the properties listed below. This work is for the planned utility merger with the City of Raleigh. While this is not the total number of properties where a survey is needed, this list is covered by the budgeted amount for fiscal year 23. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Do you have an amount for the total? Like, I mean, will 1 year get us a quarter of the way there? Or?
I can get you that total amount. We did receive a quote for all the properties.
Okay.
I just don't remember that number off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Madam Manager, I move we authorize the town manager to sign the task service agreement for the Wendell property annexation boundary survey.
We have a motion to authorize the town manager to sign the task service agreement for the Wendell property annexation boundary survey. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move into our other business. The first is a report, these are reports from town board members on board committees. First is Commissioner Eatman from Campo.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had a couple of Campo meetings since our last town board meeting. The first, Commissioner Deloach represented us well before I was out of the country, and then more recently we had a meeting last week. In addition to a lot of our standard updates, transit has been a highlight. I think that's something that I'm particularly interested in. We've talked a lot about, and I think there are a lot of opportunities for Wendell in the future, specifically related to engagement as well. I think public engagement is also something that is always an important part of getting folks to buy into these conversations about the future of our transportation system and infrastructure. So no more detailed update than that tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Wendell Volunteer Fire Department Board of Directors, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And you also do the Wendell Fire Commission.
And I'll roll into commissioner comments.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the fire department, both on the board as well as the fire commission, the most exciting news and the main thing that's happened recently is Wendell received a ISO rating of 1. For those of you playing at home, ISO ratings go from 1 to 10. 10 is the worst. 1 is the best. Out of all the fire departments in the state of North Carolina, there are 17 that have an ISO rating of 1. Wendell is now one of those 17. What that comes down to is the state and an accrediting body comes out and does an inspection, does a real-life test. The fire department also demonstrates a variety of investments, education, training. And what that helps us with is your commercial property tax rates. It ensures that we are providing the best service. We've heard that question once or twice. What about your emergency response? What about your fire service? The folks that measure that came in and gave us the absolute best grade. The other really exciting part about that, as things develop, is that in the outside of the town of Wendell, which is within the department's rural jurisdiction, their ISO rating went down to a 2. So the rural areas of Wendell now have better fire protection than, for instance, Clayton, the surrounding towns, but lots of communities like that. And that's because of new connections, new water lines, and a commitment from our fire department. So if you see a firefighter around, tell them thank you. They have saved you money, and they have also proven that they are providing an amazing service. Madam Mayor, I'm going to slide into commissioner comments if that works for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Stick with me. It's been a couple meetings since we met. Thank you to Meet on Main committee and the volunteers. Had a great event this past week. It's very cool to see that continue to happen. Trunk or treat Friday night, 5 to 8. Houdini in the Park Saturday at 4, Town Square. November 3rd is going to be a full day of Wendell activities, so there's a Sarah Strong golf tournament out at Wendell Country Club, and then there'll be a Wendell Market downtown, and while you're downtown you should head up to Wendell United Methodist where the Ho and Hope Garden Club is having a bingo night. So all of that fun just a mere 2 days before the Harvest Festival, November 5th. While you're at the Harvest Festival, well, before you come to the Harvest Festival, come on out and go early vote. If you haven't seen it, there's signs, Wendell Falls Parkway and 3rd Street, but at the community center, we've brought early voting back. It's something that I had previously heard folks wanted to see, and it's super convenient. The lines have been short. I like to ride down and ride through the park and see. So make sure you get out and vote. And finally, Madam Mayor, I want to wish my dad a happy birthday. That is all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Lutz?
So much good stuff there, Commissioner Joyner. And yeah, it's been a while, so thanks to all those organizations, Meet Maine I know, who does a great job each year. Just a couple other recognizing of so much activity in town here. Just want to recognize the small but not mighty group of who organizes the Feed Your Neighbor 5K each year, organizing the run, which allows us to put money back in our local food pantries, which I know a lot of families in the area use. So well done to those people. And then again, this Friday night is the Trick or Treat Trail at the park. So come out with your best costumes and enjoy.
Right.
That's all.
Commissioner Eatman?
Just reiterate Commissioner Joyner's message to go vote. Voting has started here in Wendell, so you can make your way to the community center anytime.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say good evening to the residents of Wendell and the staff of the town and commissioners. And I have a quick, I've gotten several calls and stuff that over the meetings over the last 3 years, I don't have a lot of comments because usually after reading everything and going over it and the vote, why I don't comment a whole lot is it's already been decided how I'm going to vote. So I've already covered everything, but I will say that the people that live in town that voted for me and the people outside of town, I'm here for the people. That's why I ran. And that's why I usually vote no for the outside stuff because it's high density everywhere. So I've been looking and asking over the last 3 years, how can we have some balance in Wendell and have high density and some low density areas, which I haven't seen yet. Everything's been high density. So I'm just interested in any ideas from the town and residents on what we could do with that, have some variety in Wendell like other areas. Thank you.
Commissioner Deloach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Joyner hit it on the head. It's been a busy few weeks, these past couple weeks, and a couple weeks upcoming, so a lot of stuff going on. Early voting here in Wendell, so that's exciting. Make sure that you get out and vote. Obviously, the Harvest Festival, November 5th, so hope to see everybody there. Yours truly will be on stage that day until they run me out of there, so we'll see how long that lasts. And I would also like to, before we finish up, I want to congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Jason Joyner. He was named as an NC Trailblazer in the Business in North Carolina magazine, so excited for that. It's a great article, brings spotlight on Wendell, which is always nice, but meant for under 40s that do great things in smaller towns. So you do great things in big places, but we appreciate you being here in Wendell, so congratulations on that. And I do want to thank educators and students that were here tonight. We have an opportunity to recognize them in a very small way. I don't think that they get nearly enough credit, so I'm proud that Wendell recognizes them in a small way. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Real quickly, I'm going to try to skip the things that have already been mentioned, but I will. The treat trail is this Friday, and it starts at 5. I think it's important to know that. It's a free event where kids can be accompanied by an adult. It's not scary, but lots of fun, so bring your kids out to that. The Wendell Market's going to be having its last market of the season on Thursday, November 5th from 6 to 9, so please come join us at that. Of course, the Harvest Festival was postponed due to weather, and we're very excited about the Harvest Festival coming up on November 3rd. I want to tell you a little bit. I spoke to the 3rd grade at Carver about being a mayor and about municipal government, and then the town of Wendell hosted the 3rd grade from Wendell Elementary School here for a mock board meeting. And if you don't come and watch that, or if you haven't had a chance, it's really funny, and the questions and comments that they make are just hysterical. The things, the conclusions that children draw, the way they connect dots, it's really funny. So I always look forward to those times, and I appreciate them being here. Both groups were polite, and they asked wonderful questions, and I really enjoyed spending the time with them, and I appreciate their schools sharing them with me those days. The town of Wendell has wrapped up Arbor Day for this year finally after several delays due to COVID, because we plant trees at the schools usually in the spring, and there were some delays. But we are finished now with 3 elementary schools and the middle school in Wendell, plus the ones that we plant at the town square. I wanted to mention Philip Smith and the tree board and thank them all for their efforts. They come, and it's a whole presentation and a program at every single school, and we dig holes and plant the trees and help the kids and maybe teach them a little something, and it's really fun. It's usually with the 5th graders at the different elementary schools and the special ed class at Wendell Middle School, so it's a lot of fun. I also want to echo the congratulations to the Wendell Fire Department for the ISO score. I was told it was one of the few towns in the state, and it's wonderful for our businesses, and it will be an economic development boon for us. It's wonderful to be able to say. And I just want to remind you all that things like that don't just happen. If they just happened, everybody would have that score, and they don't. And I've heard 19, 17, and 14, so I don't know where the number lands, but it's great. And so I certainly extend my thanks to Chief Staples and congratulate him and the fire department and appreciate their efforts. I want to thank the Meet on Main crowd. A couple of dates were canceled or rained out. It's a wonderful event. It shines a nice light on our downtown and our downtown businesses, and it gets people to come to Wendell. And I sell T-shirts at it generally for them. It's my volunteer duty, and I always ask people where they're from, and they come from all over. I'm always amazed at where people come from, and they're coming from all over, and they want the souvenir T-shirts. So that's always fun to me. Also, I'm going to wrap it up by saying I'm really excited about some of the things that we talked about tonight. The concession stand and restrooms and picnic shelter project, the website redesign, the getting started on the athletic fields. Great things are happening here, and I hope that everybody recognizes the important work that's taking place here. These are all really exciting things we've all been wanting to happen, and I'm excited to see them started. And so, good things are happening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.
Definitely the restaurant. I used that when I was a kid. I never heard you more years ago.
That restroom is
42 years ago.
not a